So I think we have to look at other creative ways to reward and compensate individuals as well, and particularly hourly employees, which I think leads into what you guys do, but with cashless tipping. Wow. Because how many people carry cash these days? Almost no one. So I hate leaving a hotel room and not having cash to leave as a tip for the housekeeper. And look, I'm not saying everyone has to tip, but let's be honest. Would you want to have to spend your days cleaning someone else's room? Yes, of course we pay them a fair wage, but wouldn't you just like to say, hey, thanks for looking after me. Thanks for making sure my hotel stay was...
I am joined by Clio Knowles, Chief People Person with SH Hotels and Resorts, coming to us from West Hollywood, California. How are you?
I'm well today. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for joining me.
No, I really appreciate you inviting me to speak with you today.
Well, I had a bunch of people was like, you better get Clio on there right away.
That's very kind of them.
Chief People Person, why don't you tell me in your words, because you guys are global. You're in Europe, you're in the States. Tell me what you're experiencing with this labor shortage in your own words.
Well, it's definitely not specific to the US. We also have hotels in Canada, one homes in Mexico, and our hotels in Europe. And we're experiencing the same issues everywhere. I think the pandemic obviously really brought home to a lot of people that maybe they wanted to explore other things. They found different work-life balances. Hospitality is a really demanding field to be in. It's not always the easiest of career choices. It's certainly not always the best paid, but most of us are in this industry because we're really passionate about what we do and delivering a great service experience to our guests. And in my case, to our fellow teammates, as I see myself as the steward of the employees of the brand.
But you're struggling like everybody else, right?
Yeah, I don't think there's a hospitality company out there that would tell you they weren't. It's really made people reevaluate how we're approaching the employee experience and required us all to sort of look at where we're focusing, what we're focusing on, and what we're creating. Are we truly creating value for our team members, that we're the company they would choose to come and work for because they appreciate that we're taking care of them. And I think that's the differentiator in today's world, is building the right employee culture. Because if your employees know that you're taking care of them, that they'll be loyal to you. If they see that there's room for internal growth and training and opportunities, and they just feel like they're respected when they're in the workplace, I think that goes a long way towards battling the labor crisis, since everyone's fighting for the same pool of talent these days.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating, and I think it's a really good thing. It's hard to swallow right now, but I think it's going to force companies to improve. We were talking about it right before we came on, but managers have to step up their game, because people are going to leave you and just go down the street.
Absolutely. And, we all know the old adage that employees don't leave companies, they leave leaders. So that's why for us, leadership is really, really important, and leadership training is really important. So, I joined SH about almost 7 months ago now, and we're just launching our new leadership training program in the next few weeks. And I'm really excited about it because I think so many people get promoted to manager or to the next level because they're really good at what they do, but they don't always get trained in the skills they need to be in that promoted position. And then they're so overwhelmed, there's so much going on that everyone's like, well, we don't have time to train them. But training is the key. I think there's an old expression is, what if I train someone and they leave? And the answer is, but what if you don't train someone and they stay? So you have to put the time into training and building leaders for today and also for the future.
Yeah, that's great, because I was going to ask you about training, because I keep reading, well, we don't have time to train these people. I mean, there's just not enough time in the day. There's not enough people to go around. So I would imagine that you're using, or you will be using this new training program to retain.
Absolutely. And also to promote from within. So we're very passionate about helping people rise through the organization. And even just in my time of being here, I think we've promoted over 15 plus people to the next level in their careers. And so having, somebody see that, having a bartender see a fellow bartender get promoted to bar manager and move up, helps them also see their growth path. And so we're creating succession planning programs where there will actually be really clearly defined steps of these are the skills you need to get to the next level. These are the training classes that are available to you, both online and in person. And everyone always says there isn't time. But again, if you don't take the time to do it, all you're doing is, plugging your finger in the dike. You're not fixing the hole. So,
Well, what other measures are you taking to combat the shortage?
So there's a couple of things. I mean, again, I feel that building the right employee culture is really, really important. And I think that having your employees know that you care about them as individuals is really important. So my key quality that I look for when hiring a director of people, for example, or almost any leader, but is empathy. Are you empathetic to the human experience, what our employees are going through? Can you be there for them? Can you support them? As well as, doing your job and giving negative or difficult feedback when you have to, but also just being there for the team. You can't just sit in a glass tower and hand down dictates and expect our employees to follow them. I think another thing that's really important to me is everyone's recruiting from the same pool of talent. So there's, some random group of 500 people out there that everyone's calling and saying, come and work for us. And I try and look for new pools. So instead of just fishing from the same pond, I want to go and find those pools of untapped talent. So last week at our hotel in South Beach, we did leadership trainings on, we had a disability consultant who came in and spoke to our leaders and teammates on how to deal with guests and teammates who have disabilities. And the trainer himself is actually visually impaired, and he brings his guide dog and explains how to address a guest with not just visual impairments, also audio impairments or physical ones. But it was just so eye-opening for so many of the team because there were things that they just never knew. For example, if you have a guest who's visually impaired, tell the housekeeping team so that they don't move products around because they can't find them again. And just little things like that everyone's like, wow, a light bulb just went off. So we actually have now hired two individuals who are visually impaired at One South Beach to work in our back of house. And we have a training program that helps support them when they first come on board, works with them while they learn the job, et cetera. But over 20% of the world's population has a disability or an impairment of some type. And many of them can't find work. Their unemployment rate is something like 70 to 80%. So why would we not try and find work for those individuals? Because if we don't hire them, maybe no one will. And they're going to be so excited and so loyal because we've given them a chance. And we're doing something similar to our hotel in the UK. We've actually hired someone who has a mental impairment, a mental disability, and we've hired him to work in our cafe. And there's a training program that he's being taught how to do the job, and they work with him for the first 3 to 6 months. And we work closely with his family and his social services caregiver. But this individual is just so excited to work in our cafe, and all of our customers have loved him so far. No one's had a negative word. And again, when you're giving people chances that other people don't, I think that's really important. So
That is fantastic. I had no idea. I thought you were just going to say, yeah, we're raising hourly wages.
sorry, no, I also do programs working with refugees and the formerly incarcerated. And, I just think there's so many pools of talent out there that aren't being tapped. Yes, of course, I want to do those other things too. And I think, it's really key that we have, of course, good wages, good benefits. Something I get very passionate about is actually having a good looking back of house, because our teammates spend more time in the back of house than our guests do in the front of house. So let's make sure it's really welcoming. You don't want to walk into your workspace and have it, be unattractive and feel like it's I used to work at a hotel where we literally called it the dungeon. Nobody wants to go to the dungeon. So making sure we have really attractive backs of house, that we have an employee cafeteria that serves an amazing meal every day, because for some of our employees, that may also be the only hot meal they get. And, I want to make sure that it's a really good, nourishing meal that they're going to feel, can sustain them throughout the workday. So all of those things are, of course, really important as well.
That's fantastic. I mean, are you raising hourly wages?
We have had to, of course. I mean, I think the whole industry has had to. I don't think that we're necessarily the industry leader. I think we're very competitive. But to me, again, if I give someone $1 more, that keeps them happy for a couple of days, but all the other things that annoy them still annoy them, even though their paycheck at the end of the week is a little bit higher. So I think we have to look at other creative ways to reward and compensate individuals as well, and particularly hourly employees, which I think leads into what you guys do, but with cashless tipping. It's something I'm very passionate about. I rolled out a program at my last company, and we're looking to roll out something at SH as well. Because how many people carry cash these days? Almost no one. So I hate leaving a hotel room and not having cash to leave as a tip for the housekeeper. And look, I'm not saying everyone has to tip, but let's be honest. Would you want to have to spend your days cleaning someone else's room? Yes, of course we pay them a fair wage, but wouldn't you just like to say, hey, thanks for looking after me. Thanks for making sure my hotel stay was clean and I had a good experience because I didn't walk into the shower and find hair in the drain hole, right? So I think it's just a nice way. I'm not by any means saying that I'm asking our guests to pay our employees wages, but I think it's nice to make the gesture the same as you would to an F&B server who's given you a good experience. And I often don't have cash for bellmen or housekeepers, et cetera. And so finding ways to still be able to show them my thanks is really important to me.
Yeah, none of us are walking around with cash anymore. And I mean, cashless tipping is raising the hourly wage, and a lot of our clients. What what have you experienced? Because there's always like a bunch of restaurants in the States, not a bunch, but some tried to get away from tipping, and it didn't work. It was a flop. It just flopped. Um, and then again in the States, I think it's just part of the culture. And and then my wife put herself through college waiting tables, and she was super fantastic. So she always made killer money. So it's incentivizing excellent service. But in your experience with tips, what do you see from your employees when they receive that tip?
I think in many ways it's a validation of what they've done. And so I'm not actually American, but I've lived in the US for almost 20 years now. And I still struggle when I go back to Europe and I don't have the opportunity to tip. Many times they don't even give you the option to write in a tip. So it is it is very much more a US focused cultural thing. But I remember helping at an event at my last or two companies ago, and someone tipped me. It was a celebrity's wife that I'd been helping with something, and she tipped me $100, and I was like, "Oh, my first tip." And I was like, I guess it's a validation that I had done a good job. She was pleased with the service I provided. I know this probably sounds like kind of a crazy story, but to me, it's just showing your appreciation for those individuals who do go above and beyond. And I'm definitely a more than 20% tipper when the service is really great. And again, I know it's a difficult concept for a lot of people because they're like, you should be just paying them enough, but it is a way of showing your appreciation. And I see it purely as that, like, I appreciate what you've done for me. The service industry is one of the hardest jobs in the world. I mean, we're not saving people's lives. We're not in the medical industry, but we're making sure that people have a place to go where it's safe, where it's clean, where they're taken care of. And people come to our hotels. I always tell people we're in the business of making memories. People come and stay at our hotels because maybe they're there on a business trip, but we've had people who've signed their first record deals in our hotels. We've had people come for weddings. They come for baby showers. They come for birthdays, anniversaries. They come for celebrations. And so we're making memories. Wouldn't you want to show your appreciation to the individuals who helped you make those amazing memories?
Yep. Love it. That's it. Well, we should just end right there. Just drop the mic and go.
Mic drop. Done.
Well, Clio, I want to thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Jason. I really appreciate you having me to speak with you today.
You bet.